right. We are back. This is the Built by Vitality podcast. I am your host, Steve Pinkerton, and I have with me
Philip Lewis.
Today's episode is going to talk about paying attention. Fairly broad.
Yeah.
And this is just again, a lot of times we've been doing this for a year, so we've got like some almost 60 episodes. So there's going to be things that we come up and we start talking about, and we're like, man, let's just throw the old headset on and talk through it. This is one of those. What made me start thinking about this was you can be in pretty much any environment, and if you just look around, what do you see? You see people
chaos,
heads down, buried in their phones, looking at whatever. Mm-hmm. It could be anywhere. Next time you're in any public setting, just look around. Look around. I don't care where you are. Grocery store, it doesn't matter. And it's causing this massive attention deficit across the board, and nobody's immune. Kids, adults, our grandparents. As people get older, the only thing that changes is the font size gets a little bit bigger on the on the screens. But we can't stay focused anymore, and kids, they can't sit still anymore unless you give them something. Like now, you know what Charlie's obsessed with? Fidgets. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
No. I have, but
have you seen the one she
fidget spinners and all kinds of stuff? That's how it started, and now this is this big genre of fidgets, something to fidget with because you can't focus or
like what? You can't tell me. And look, I'm qualified to talk about this. I barely graduated college with a psychology degree. Okay, I've got maybe one class that I paid attention to in college, but I wasn't playing with a fidget spinner. That's why I wasn't paying attention in class. I had some other things. It wasn't social media either.
What'd you fidget with?
There wasn't cell phones. That's how old I am. That's crazy. I had a Nokia flip phone that you couldn't even get on the internet with.
I had a pager.
I didn't have a pager.
I didn't even call nobody on that thing. It was a pager.
Well, you can't call anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
They paid you, and then you got to go to a payphone and call
I had to find change.
It's crazy.
Pull over, call somebody,
But think about that. I mean, I think back to, and I'm not saying I'm fighting technology. I'm not fighting that. But the issue is, I get it. I understand how difficult it would have been for me to pay attention in class if I had this at my fingertips. Or 9 at my fingertips because you ripped one of them off, But when you have this,
because you wasn't paying attention.
I wasn't listening.
I was focused. I was locked in when I ripped that thing off.
Yeah. So you look at kids, and I can't blame my kids for, this issue. It's really us as parents, and society is really forcing these kids into this because what happens? A kid's bored and asking 1,000 questions, and what do? You feed him your phone and say, hey, here you go, surf the internet and watch YouTube Kids. And let me tell you something. One of the scariest things you could do is sit and watch YouTube Kids with and find out what your kids are watching. I mean, I'm watching the weirdest slime videos or whatever it is, and it's like
slime videos.
It's like kids making slime. I can't even explain.
They're being artsy, craftsy.
But it's not. It's just some kid with an iPhone that learned how to upload videos and
he's making slime.
It's just, and now what happens? Now, if you try and take these kids away from their devices, they can't do anything. They can't entertain themselves. But I'll tell you this: for those of you that have kids, we all know. If you let your kids watch too much screen time, they turn into animals, monsters, straight up out of World War Z with Brad Pitt. You've seen that movie?
No.
What? You for real?
I've seen it.
Okay.
I thought you showed up Monsters, Inc., the kid one. I've seen part of that.
No. Jeez. This is what I deal with on a daily basis. But, I mean, they turn completely different. You take that screen away from them, and they go through this, withdrawal period for, 30, 45 minutes, and then they're normal again. And if you don't think that's real, just do it. You'll be in the seventh circle of hell for the 45 minutes when you take them away, and then you'll turn around and they'll actually be like playing with their sibling or doing something productive on their own.
I think when my niece stays over at my mom and dad's, like if they're watching her or whatever, my brother's daughter, they end up, it's like a big thing. They have to pack up her PlayStation, have to pack up her iPad. She has her cell phone. She's 12. Yeah. Has all these electronics that they pack with her clothes and things. Then they have to hook the PlayStation up to a TV in the house. And she has to have these things when she stays the night or she's going to be bored. She don't have anything to do.
And that's a perfect example of, okay, so let's rewind this. Adults, like I said, and then look, I am not saying I'm immune to this by any stretch. If I'm eating lunch by myself, you guys, everyone will always see me. I'm watching a YouTube video or I'm watching something in the kitchen, and that's in itself an issue. But so if we as an adult have that problem, and we only started using cell phones, I was probably 22 years old, 23 years old, so I've got less than 20 years of this being at my fingertips, and really, with the type of technology we have now, maybe a decade, mm-hmm. You're having a kid that knows nothing else but this.
Yeah.
So what do you think, does anybody stop and think about what's going to happen when that kid is an adult? We have a tough time with it, and we've had it for less than half of our life. These kids are going to be 20, 30, 40 years old, and they're going to have it their whole life. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen then? How are they going to function without it?
Yeah.
What's going to happen when, we lose we lose power, we lose our cell phone grid, and everybody's like, oh, it's a conspiracy. Okay, I'm not talking about conspiracy. Let's think that through. Let's say, okay.
The battery dies. What are they going to do?
If you take this away for an extended period of time, how are people going to function? And I ask you this. When you were in the car with your spouse last, or your significant other, who drives?
I always
normally.
drive.
Okay. Now, when you're driving, and I'm not saying that men always drive. I'm just saying whoever drives the most.
I enjoy driving.
So do I. Whoever drives the most, the next time you're in the car, look at the other person and see what they're doing while you're driving. What are they usually doing?
They're either on their phone or their head's in my way where I can't see. When I'm trying to make a turn or something.
Oh, you're like leaning forward type of.
It's like when I lean forward, they got to lean forward too. I'm like, were you driving? How about moving that thing out of the way?
Maybe they're being a good wingman and they were going to tell you clear right.
They don't say nothing. They just lean up to see for themselves.
I kind of feel like I think that's your I think that's your fault.
Okay.
That's bad training.
Training.
You haven't trained your co-pilot right.
Okay, good.
When you pull up to an intersection, it's their responsibility. They look right and they say clear right, and if they say clear right, you got to go.
I'd rather just do it myself.
Okay. It's building trust.
Okay.
It's like a trust fall.
It's another podcast.
But
me and Steve did a trust fall, and he never caught me.
Yeah. So my point is, that other person, we don't pay attention when we're in the car.
No.
So, and why don't we pay attention? Because
we don't have to.
We don't have to because we've got some stupid device that tells us, turn here, turn coming in 0.2 miles. I'm going to count it down for you. If you ask somebody, if you're driving on the expressway and it says, I play this game with my kids and my wife all the time, and it says exit in 1 mile, I'll be like, hey, Ray, how much time do you think I have before that exit comes? It's a mile away. And what I'm looking for is about 60 seconds. I'm probably going 70 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour. It's roughly a mile a minute. You know that you've got 60 seconds because inevitably I'll be driving an expressway. The exit will be like a mile, and then everyone's yelling at me to get over. But there's like cars to my right, but I've got plenty. I've got 60 seconds to get. But no one pays attention. They're just waiting for that phone to kind of like tell them what to do. Well, if you take that phone away and you got to go back to the old map.
I used to have somebody draw me something on a piece of paper if I went to a friend's house or something. They're like, you make a right at that tree, I left at that church, and I'm like, oh man,
and you
I'm
lose
lost.
your ability to know where you're going and what you're doing because you don't have to pay attention. And it sounds stupid. I get it. They're like, well, why would you do that if you don't have to? Because it's a skill that if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And here's the thing. Most people have never had to have it. Most people have never had to pay attention to where they were driving so they could get themselves back. Most people never had to pay attention to the people around them or whatever, because everyone else has their phone buried, their face buried in their phone. Another example, our attention spans are much shorter, and I know this because you would think, being a gym owner for 12 years, I still remember when I first opened, really no one would pay attention too much for the explanation. No. And you would think that these same members 12 years down the road would be getting better, but it's actually getting worse. Like the attention span really gets shorter. And it's not their fault. It's not like is only a vitality problem. It's across the board. Everybody. I guarantee it. But it's because that's 10 minutes. When's the last time, truly, when's the last time you had to focus on something for more than 10 minutes? It's probably not that often. And people are like, I focus on that all the time. No, you really don't.
People do for 10 minutes or longer, but it's only when it involves just them.
Yeah.
If it's something they want to do or they're doing it, but once they have to focus on someone else for a certain period of time, they just can't.
Yeah.
The phone is about you and the activity you're doing. Like if I went running or something, I have to focus on myself. If I had to watch you talk or something, it's very hard for people to do.
It is.
They can't do it.
And I totally get that. Now the deal is a lot of people will be watching TV, and they're watching TV and looking at their phone, and that's that to me is crazy, because it's like sensory overload. You got so much going on. It doesn't work that way, and it's starting to affect people's sleep. It's starting to affect their moods. You got people that can't fall asleep without having a TV on because they're so used to that noise in the background, which is wild too. It's just. I
don't see how people do that. I've been to people's houses where they'll have the TV on and it's an ungodly decibel. It's loud.
Yeah.
And then say the guy's watching TV, the lady's over there, she's on her phone, but she wants to hear her phone, so she has to crank it up to hear it over the TV. Then the phone rings and somebody's on the phone. It's just chaos. I said, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
It's a stressful environment, but they're used to it.
Yeah. And, so I think that there's certainly an epidemic, and if you don't recognize that, okay, I don't know how you can't, but the other flip side of that is, if you also don't recognize there is no chance it's not going to get harder, then you're even you're crazier than I thought. Because if you think we're not going to continue to push the envelope with technology, we're not going to continue to give you more at your fingertips that you can do, that you can control. That's what Apple has made their billion-dollar company off of. I don't even know. This might sound stupid, but it might even be. I can't remember if it's a $1 billion or $1 trillion company. Apple is
not a trillion. It's really close.
Yeah, it's got to be. So it's a massive amount of technology, and
we have cars that drive themselves now and take you where you want to go, basically.
And that's someone's argument. They're going to say, well, we don't need to know because our cars are going to take us there. Okay, I'm with you.
You're just going to be you're like I don't even know what you'd be at that point. What do you as a person would be like one of those old toys you have when you're younger, and they're made of rubber and they got the little pieces of metal, and you just bend them how you want them.
Yeah.
That's us, and we just we're inside of these things now.
And so we're going to actively have to take a position on this and say, I am going to try and put some layers between me and this technology that it doesn't control or own me. And that is, you've got kids that are 100% into TikTok and social media, and they're influencers and all, they start at this young age. And what is that doing? That's showing them that, you can actually make money without having to work.
Because that's not work. The influencer name is terrible.
It's terrible.
I don't think I'd want to be an influencer. Like you said, that kid making slime.
Yeah.
People are like, he's my influencer. He's influencing you to what?
Yeah.
To make slime in his bedroom?
And I think that there's a certain level of creativity to, I like it when my daughter's creative and she wants to make a video and be creative with the video, and I like that. But there's such a fine line, a slippery slope of what that can turn into. So I think you've got to, as adults, we have to lead from the front where it's hard for us to yell at our kids and say, "Oh, don't be on your phone all the time," when we're on our phones all the time. And most adults, and their excuse is, "Oh, I've got to text people for work, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. I've got to be available." The reality is you don't. You're enabling that. You're enabling that behavior by allowing people to have access to you 24/7. Now, if you're making enough money to where that is dependent on your availability, then okay. But most of us, we don't make any more money by answering these questions at night versus wait until the next morning when we get to work.
I put my phone on Do Not Disturb at night, the little moon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So no calls, texts, anything.
Except mine.
Nope.
Really?
Took yours off there too.
Huh.
You were texting me awful late. I didn't know what. I just got tired of it.
You realize I go to bed at 8:15.
I know you wasn't texting
Okay.
me. That way, nothing. There's no notifications. There's nothing. The only thing that had come through is my alarm.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't need. I mean, for what? We can wait. If it's 1 a.m, what do they need at 1 a.m? People's like, well, what if somebody has an emergency? What if somebody died? And I'm like, that's terrible, and I would be really upset if somebody died, whatever. But it was kind of, they're like, oh, you're a mean person. I'm like, well, they died. Like, at 2 a.m, I can't go. I don't know.
I think that makes perfect sense. But if I said that, you would call me very insensitive.
No, I would not.
You would.
I would. God, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that me rubbing off on you?
I think you're rubbing off on me. I'm like, well, they're dead. What can I do about it?
But I agree.
I don't know.
There's only so many problems you can fix at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the reality is, a lot of those solutions would be the wrong ones if you made those at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's no different than firing off an email when you're mad. You wake up. If I wake my wife up at 2 o'clock in the morning and make her make a decision, I hope to God it's not my life that's on the line, because she's not super coherent at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you
or
know
not
what I mean.
paying attention and you read an email really fast and you read a word wrong and things like there's crazy things.
Yeah, and so I think there's certainly some ways that we can do this, and I just think you've got to make a conscious effort to say, okay, I'm going to really lock in. I'm going to be focused during these periods of time, and I'm going to try and improve that. So when I train the Ganassi crews, or excuse me, the track house, they're no longer Ganassi. I try to explain to them. I said, man, you guys have such a intricate job description to where the attention to detail is so incredibly high with what you guys do. You need to have that same level of attention to detail in everything you do. Mm-hmm. So when I explain a workout, there shouldn't be a ton of questions, because they have to be so focused on what they're doing, or else they're not training themselves to be prepared for that later on. You can't. There is no light switch where you can say, okay, I'm going to be focused now.
Yeah.
But nope, now I'm not going to be focused. It's either you're in or you're out. And I think that's the same way when I sit down at work. I'll set my alarm on my phone or my watch for from one event to the next. So if I finish my morning workout and it's 7 o'clock and I coach at 8:30, I'm setting my alarm for when I need to start making my breakfast. So I got 50 minutes. That 50 minutes gives me a time frame that I can get some work done and focus on one thing. Mm-hmm. I put my phone somewhere where it's there, but I'm not paying attention to it. Yeah. And I'm locked in for 50 minutes. And then I'll have my breakfast where I'll check some emails, I'll do whatever. And then I'm coaching. Once I finish coaching, then I'm like, okay, what's next for me? I'll set my alarm or my stopwatch to count down to my next event. And that gives me my parameter for getting my work done. And then when that time goes off, I'll check my email really quick. If I've got something I have to respond to, then I know when I'm done with my next meeting, I can jump on that. But what happens is, if you don't allow these pockets of time to actually get focused work done, you're constantly going to be switching gears between 16 different things. You're going to have a text pop up that you're going to feel like you have to answer right now. So now I'm going to stop my programming.
That's awful.
And I'm going to start this text. And that text is going to lead to 16 other texts.
I get crap all the time for that. People will text me. It's just random things. Like I'll get a ton of texts in a day, And if I do not turn it off, if I don't put this thing on silent, put it face down, and I focus on something on my computer or whatever task I have.
It's just so easy to get distracted, where you're working on something and you're trying to go back and forth. And the worst is those stupid sounds. The sounds that you got, the notifications in your phone that make sounds.
Oh, yeah. I turned all that off.
Yeah, you have to. Or else every time you're in it, I don't care who you are, you hear that sound, you're going to look at your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, it's going to be someone that you think you need to respond to right away.
But you don't.
And so, yeah, I mean, these are all things that we struggle with. I think the first step is acknowledging that, sounds crazy, but, it's an addiction. We all have this problem with our phone, and it's putting us in a situation to where, how are these affecting us even further? Well, how are a lot of relationships started now? Through texting and through phones, and that's how those are being nurtured, through text. There is no relationship building through actual human interaction, and that, I think that's a very difficult thing to that usually won't end well, because everything we're doing, we're seeing, through a different lens. We're not actually seeing who Philip Lewis really is. If I only know Philip Lewis through his pictures and the text that he has and all that type of stuff, I don't really know truly who he is. So
you only get to know me when you're squeezing the life out of me in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, we get to do something fun, and we get to learn a lot about each other, and and again, that's an activity that I can promise you for 2.5 hours,
man,
we are not concerned about what is being posted online.
You don't even know what time it is. You have no clue what's on Instagram, nothing.
And I encourage you to find something that is so enjoyable that you don't feel like you've got to check your phone, because you do that out of boredom. We do that out of habit, and then at night, man, put your phone away. Just put it away and pay attention to one thing. And if that maybe it's watching the TV, maybe it's just maybe it's the first step is I'm going to pay attention to one screen at a time.
But yeah, sometimes I have my computer, my phone, the TV. I'm like, okay, Phil.
Yeah. What are we doing?
You're going to be sitting here forever.
Yep.
Do the computer stuff or just figure something out. Yeah.
Yep. So we've got to put some layers in place here, or this is a runaway train that we're going to get trampled by. So that was something that, and look, if you're not noticing this, then that's a problem, because if you're not noticing that everybody's buried in their phone, why aren't you noticing it?
Because you're in yours.
Because you're buried in your phone.
And this podcast will probably come out after Thanksgiving, obviously. So this is before Thanksgiving. So we'll just say, hey, look back to your Thanksgiving you just had, and how many people at your Thanksgiving get-together was like this. They had their heads down. You don't need to have your phone at the holiday with your family. Put it up.
And we all make that mistake.
Talk to each other.
We all will. I will be the first one. Yeah. But, the biggest thing for me is I catch myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes I catch myself and I'll curse myself out, but I'll leave it, then I keep doing what I'm doing. I'm like, God dang it. I'm such an idiot.
I know I'm doing it, but let me check one more thing.
But I gotta, or I'll make an excuse. Oh, well, hey, listen, I get to have my phone because, Vitality might need me.
Yeah.
No, when's the last time Vitality needed me at 5:00 on a Sunday?
We don't really need you anymore.
It was actually last week, but
we can kind of handle it without you now.
Yeah, so I think that it's just everyone's got an excuse. You accept it, understand that we all have to work through this, and if you don't start working through it, it's going to be a problem. If you're one of those people that spend 30 to 40 to 50 minutes posting on social media, man, I hope you're getting paid for that, because it's coming at a steep price.
Yeah.
So that's my soapbox today. If nothing else, open your eyes up and look around, and you'll see this epidemic that we are just consumed by things that take our attention away. And if you're not proactive, man, you're going to see things just fly right by. And look, there's going to be a time when you wish you were paying attention. There's going to be a time when, I try to teach my kids, hey, when you walk out into a parking lot, look around. Be aware understand, look for reverse lights. Look for those white lights to come on because someone's backing up and you're not paying attention because you got your head in your phone. Look for, weird people sitting in their cars because, hey, believe it or not, I don't know if you guys watch the news or not, but there's some weird people out there, okay?
And those people that are reversing out of those parking spots, they should have backed in anyway, so they're already weird.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
they should have already backed in.
That's neither here nor there. But my point is, this is gonna have some second and third order effects, and just because you get away with it for a couple years or 10 years not paying attention doesn't mean your kids now need to learn that bad habit as well. And that's as simple as, like I'm saying, man, you don't see the weirdos if you're buried in your phone, and they're counting on that. Yeah. Okay, they're counting on it, and they're looking for that soft target. And there's a lot of soft targets out there. Yeah. A soft target is somebody that is making it really easy to do something bad. And most of the time, if you just make it a little more difficult, they're going to go find somebody else.
They'll find the soft target. Yeah. They just want to skip over you.
But we've got to do better. We've got to be better, and that starts with just enforcing this in our own homes.
Kind of like you being a soft target. I'd be a hard target because I lock my bathroom door, my bedroom door. I'd be a hard target. You'd be more of a soft target.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'll test it on you.
So here's the thing. When someone sees you driving home, they're looking at you like, oh, well, we could go get him.
Okay.
Or they could see me driving home.
And they
windows down, 21 degrees outside. And they're like, man,
or
we can go get this guy who's going to go do a cold plunge tonight.
Oh, my God.
And they're probably coming to my house because after I get out of that cold plunge, I'm pretty useless.
You're screwed, yes.
But, we joke, but, man, I'm telling you, it's not that far-fetched, guys. It's really not. I think if you did some research, you would see that a lot of bad things happen to people because they're just not paying attention. They're just not aware of what's going on. And it starts with something so simple as just rationing the amount of time we spend buried in that phone. And then, look, man, if nothing else, maybe we'll get some people to pay attention in our classes. And we've grown to be, hey, that's just the way it is. Yeah. But I can promise you this: if adults aren't paying attention in something like that, in that setting, most kids aren't either. Yeah. Their kids aren't not going to be doing that because they're going to, they've got that framework laid down. So we hope you enjoyed this. We've already had an amazing Thanksgiving. Yep. We're coming up on Christmas. Screw these New Year's resolutions. That's going to be one.
Let's do it now.
We're going to do a podcast on that, but don't give me that nonsense of, well, I'll start on January, fresh slate. Man, stop it. Okay, if you don't start now, you're not going to start in January.
And if you do start in January, you're probably done in March.
Yeah, you'll be done in February. February 1. You'll be done before Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Well, it's Valentine's Day. We're going to take a day off. No, stop. Well, there I go.
You are a little insensitive.
See there? Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you on the next time. This is the Built by Vitality podcast.